Hey everyone, okay, so transition from last video into this video, which is on Charlotte Tilbury's new palette, which is Dazzling Diamonds, the luxury palette of pops. And as you might have guessed, this is a celestial palette, and this palette does contain true celestial shades. There are 4 of them to pick, from the lightest all the way to a black. And if you love a celestial, you will love this palette. Strange thing though, that 2 of the shades, they do swatch differently and do look differently on the skin, but the 2 brown shades are very similar in tone, but they do swatch a bit differently. I love, love, love a palette of pops. I think celestial shades can change any single eyeshadow, regardless of whether it's matte or shimmer or metallic. They just add this incredible kind of beautiful look to one's face. And normally you apply a celestial shade as your finishing touch, whether it's in the middle of the eye, the entire eyelid, all the way up if you want to. Now the thing with celestial shades is that they tend to work best when applied with a finger, just because of the nature of the product. So as you can imagine, a finger application gives the most beautiful, somebody mentioned this to me, right? That when I apply products with my finger, I tend to give the bird. And I don't actually mean to. I just find that the middle finger tends to be the easiest one for me to apply products with. So I do apologize. I'm not actually giving anyone the bird, I promise. So I'm going to try and apply the entire lot, maybe not the black, with my finger. So I'm going to take the second shade, which is this kind of gold shade. Now using my kind of middle finger. And what I will do is I'm going to try and apply this just with fingers. And I'm going to clean up the outside edge with a little wet wipe in a minute. Because I always think it's easier to apply things with a little bit more of a haphazard nature and clean things up. Works better for me. I'm going to move into the darker shade, which I'm just going to take on that outside corner, and again bringing it down a bit too low, because you rarely see celestial shades used all over. And there tends to be a reason for that. If you're not 12, they're not as forgiving on certain areas. But I'm going to go back with that lighter shade now, just to give everyone the bird. And I'm going to go in, let me grab a smaller brush, number 20 brush. And I'm going to go in with the black. And I'm just going to add a touch of that on the outside corner. That's actually more than a touch. And can you see that when I'm doing it, and I'm going to kind of give a more of an explanation of this kind of technique, but when I'm blending this, I'm blending it actually more out than I am in to begin with. And that's because I want the concentration of the color on the outside corner and not necessarily all the way in. Now I'm going to take a bigger brush and I'm just going to try and diffuse the edge a little bit, just to soften it. And I'm going to go back in with that kind of brown, the first brown shade. And I'm just going to pat it over a little bit, just to take it down slightly, and then back in with the lighter shade on the eyelid, all the way across. Now I know it looks a frightful mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little cotton pad and some makeup remover. Okay, so a wet wipe will suffice, but I don't have any at the moment. So what I'm going to do is take this underneath the eye and very lightly, I'm just going to drag it out. And again, just dragging it out. It's removing some of foundation, which is fine. We can re-add that back, but it gives a nice lifted effect to the outside corner of the eye. And now all I need to do is apply some concealer. There you go, all done. So I've applied a very faint amount of mascara, but ironically, even though these are very, very shimmery, bright, glittery shades, it actually worked really, really well. And I have eyelids of a 42-year-old, and I actually think that looks really pretty. I mean, you can see the kind of this beautiful kind of color, but I just think it should remind everybody, I mean, that's really quite pretty. It should remind everybody that just because you aren't 12 doesn't mean that you can't play around with shimmers and with celestial shades, because you can. You should do whatever makes you happy. But there you go. Celestials, pops, true celestials, unlike some of her previous palettes, which were released just a little while ago, the kind of ones that are supposed to make your eye look greener, bluer, browner, golden, that didn't really have true celestial shades in. This does. It looks bloody wonderful. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye-bye.